Dr. Han Wu stared at the screen in his small office aboard the Kepler research station. The numbers made no sense. For 3 days, his equipment had been picking up something strange from deep space. It looked like a radio signal, but it came from a place where no human ships should be. The research station floated quietly around a dying red star. Han Wu and his team came here to study tiny life forms that could live in extreme heat and cold. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. The station only had 12 people on it, and they were very far from Earth. So Young knocked on his door. She was his best assistant, smart and careful with the machines. "Doctor, you need to see this," she said. Her voice sounded excited, but scared. Han Wu followed her to the main lab. The big computer screen showed waves of data flowing across it like a waterfall. "The signal is getting stronger," So Young said. "And look at this." She pressed a button. The random noise suddenly changed into patterns, mathematical patterns. Someone was trying to talk to them using numbers. "This is impossible," Han Wu whispered. He had studied space signals for 15 years. He knew what human machines sounded like. This was something else, something alien. Tai-Min ran into the lab. He worked with the station's communication systems and looked very worried. "Doctor, the signal is not random anymore. Someone is trying to make contact with us." The 3 scientists stared at the screen. The patterns were becoming clearer. Simple math first, then more complex equations. Whoever was sending this signal knew that any intelligent species would understand mathematics. Captain Nari arrived within minutes. She commanded the research ship Tenacity, which protected the station. Nari was young for a captain, but very smart. She had fought in the Mars Colonies War and knew how to handle dangerous situations. "What do we have?" she asked. Han Wu pointed at the screen. "First contact, Captain. Someone out there is talking to us." Nari studied the data. She had learned to read space signals during her military training. "This is not from Earth or any of our colonies. The signal is coming from outside human space." So Young worked quickly at her computer. She was trying to decode the mathematical messages. "They are using pictures now," she said. "Simple drawings made from ones and zeros." The first picture showed a round object with smaller objects moving around it. A sun with planets. The second picture showed stick figures that looked like people. The third picture showed fire and explosions. "They are in trouble," Tai-Min said, quietly. More pictures came through. The stick figures were running away from bigger, scarier figures. Cities were burning. Ships were falling from the sky. It was a story of war and death. Han Wu felt sick. "Someone is attacking them. They are asking for help." Captain Nari called her crew to the station. The Tenacity only had 12 people, but they were all experienced soldiers and scientists. Dong Hyun was the best engineer in the sector. Hye Jin could fix any injury or sickness. Ki-hoon knew every weapon ever made by humans. They gathered in the meeting room. Nari showed them the alien pictures on the main screen. "We have received a distress signal from an unknown species. They appear to be under attack." The crew looked shocked. First contact with aliens was something they had dreamed about but never expected to happen during their lifetimes. So Young had been working to improve the signal. "I think I can talk back to them," she said. "The math is simple enough." She typed commands into her computer. The station's transmitter sent a reply using the same mathematical language. They sent pictures showing Earth, humans, and spaceships. The answer came back in minutes. The aliens were excited to hear from them. More pictures flooded the screens. These showed their world more clearly. It was beautiful, with crystal trees and floating cities. The people looked like tall, thin humans with large eyes and gentle faces. But the war pictures were terrible. Large, ugly ships surrounded their planet. Soldiers in heavy armor hunted the peaceful aliens through ruined cities. Bodies lay everywhere. Taemin worked to clean up the signal. Suddenly, they heard a voice. It was speaking in broken human language. "Help! Please help! My people dying!" Everyone in the room froze. The voice belonged to a young female. She sounded scared and desperate. "My name is Lyra," the voice said. "I am scientist. I learned your language from your old radio signals. Please, anyone listening, we need help." Han Wu grabbed the microphone. "This is Dr. Han Wu from the Human Research Station. We hear you, Lyra. Tell us what is happening." Lyra's voice became clearer as Taemin fixed the connection. She told them about her people, the Villani. They were peaceful plant growers and healers. They had never fought wars or hurt anyone. Their world was called Thelos, and it was dying. The Korthak Empire had come 3 years ago. These were cruel warriors who believed that weak people deserved to die. They had been bombing Villani cities from space and hunting survivors for sport. Soon, there would be no Villani left alive. "We tried to contact other civilizations," Lyra said, "but they are too far away or too scared of the Korthak. You are our last hope." Captain Nari studied the star charts. Thelos was 6 days away at maximum speed. Earth Command was 6 months away. By the time help arrived from Earth, the Villani would all be dead. Her crew waited for orders. They all knew this was bigger than anything they had ever faced. 12 humans against an alien empire. It should have been impossible. But Nari remembered her training. Sometimes the right thing to do was also the most dangerous thing. She had joined the military to protect innocent people. It did not matter if those people were human or alien. "Dong-hyun, get the tenacity ready for combat," she said. "We are going to Thelos." Her crew looked surprised, but they did not argue. They had all heard Lyra's voice. They had all seen the pictures of the dying world. "Captain," Ki-hoon said carefully, "we do not know anything about alien weapons or ships. This could be suicide." Nari smiled grimly. "Then we better learn fast. Han Wu, keep talking to Lyra. Get us everything she knows about the enemy. So young, study their technology. Maybe we can use it." As the crew prepared for the impossible mission, Han Wu realized that everything had changed. Humans were no longer alone in the universe, and their first meeting with aliens was going to be a war. The tenacity dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Thelos system. What they saw made the human crew sick to their stomachs. Thelos had been a beautiful world once. Myung-soo, their surveillance expert, pointed his cameras at the planet. Crystal forests sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. Floating cities hung in the sky like jewels. But most of the cities were now burning ruins falling toward the ground. 12 enemy ships, Myung-soo reported. All much bigger than us. They are positioned around the planet like they own it. Captain Nari studied the tactical display. The Korthak ships were massive things, covered in weapons and armor. Each one could probably destroy the tenacity with a single hit. "Any sign of the Villani?" she asked. "Some small ships are still flying near the planet," Myung-soo said. "But they look damaged. The Korthak are hunting them." Han Wu was still talking to Lyra through the radio. Her voice was weak and full of static. "The Korthak have ground soldiers on our world," she said. "They hunt my people for fun. They think we are too weak to deserve life." So Young worked at her computer, studying the alien ships. "Captain, their technology is more advanced than ours, but I think I understand how it works. They rely on heavy armor and big weapons. They fight like they expect their enemies to stand still and shoot at each other." Nari smiled. That was exactly the kind of mistake she could use. "They have never fought humans before. They do not know how we fight wars." She called her crew together. "Listen carefully. We are going to use Ghost Protocol. Hit them fast, disappear. Hit them again somewhere else, make them afraid of shadows." Ghost Protocol was something the human military had developed during the Mars colony wars. When you were outnumbered and outgunned, you did not fight fair. You used tricks, traps, and fear. Ji-Ho, their combat engineer, started preparing special weapons. He took mining charges from the station and turned them into bombs. "These will not punch through their armor," he said, "but they will damage their sensors and communications." Shung-Ho, their pilot, studied the enemy formations. "I can get our fighter close to their ships if I use the planet's magnetic field to hide our energy signature. But I will only get one chance. Lieutenant Ye-Jin would lead any ground operations." She was small but tough, and she knew how to fight in any environment. "If we can get to the surface, I can teach the Villani some basic tactics. Even peaceful people can learn to hide and set traps." The first attack came at night, Thalos time. Seung-Ho flew their single fighter ship through the edge of the system, using asteroids and space dust to hide. The Korthak sensors did not see him until he was already attacking. He launched all his missiles at one of the smaller enemy ships, then disappeared into the planet's atmosphere before they could shoot back. The Korthak ship did not explode, but its communications array was destroyed. "They are confused," Myong-Soo reported, listening to enemy radio traffic. "They do not understand how such a small ship got so close." The second attack came from the planet itself. Ji-Ho had landed secretly and placed his mining charges near a Korthak ground base. When the bombs exploded, they destroyed the enemy's supply depot and killed dozens of soldiers. The Korthak were angry now. They started shooting at everything that moved on the planet's surface, but they were shooting at shadows and empty buildings, while the real threat moved around them like ghosts. Ye-Jin reached the Villani survivors after 3 days of careful movement through the ruined cities. She found them hiding in underground tunnels, scared and hopeless. Elder Kalen was their leader, an old Villani with silver skin and wise eyes. His daughter Lyra was there too, the same voice they had been hearing over the radio. She was young and brave, but she had never seen violence before the Korthak came. "You are the humans," Kalen said. "Lyra told us you were coming, but I did not believe her. You are so small and soft. How can you fight the Korthak?" Ye-Jin showed them her weapons and equipment. "We do not fight the same way they do. We do not stand in lines and shoot at each other. We hide, we trick them, we make them afraid." The Villani were confused. Their people had never developed weapons or military tactics. They solved problems by talking and growing things. The idea of deliberately hurting others was hard for them to understand. "But the Korthak are killing your people," Ye-Jin said. "Sometimes you have to fight to protect the ones you love." She taught them simple tricks, how to hide from enemy sensors, how to move quietly through ruins, how to set traps using their own crystal technology. The Villani were fast learners, and their knowledge of their own world was very useful. Meanwhile, Wu Jin was listening to Korthak communications. He was their best translator, able to figure out alien languages quickly. What he heard made him worried. "Captain, the enemy is calling for help," he reported. "They are telling their leaders about us. They call us Deathworlders and they sound scared." Nari was confused. "Deathworlders? What does that mean?" Wu Jin read from his notes. "According to their messages, most intelligent species in the Yadi galaxy come from safe, peaceful worlds. Planets with stable weather, few natural disasters, and gentle environments. They call these garden worlds." He pointed to the data on his screen. "But Earth is different. Our planet has storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, ice ages, and dangerous animals. Most galactic species think such worlds are too dangerous for intelligent life to evolve. They call planets like Earth death worlds." The human crew looked at each other in surprise. They had never thought of Earth as unusually dangerous. Storms and earthquakes were just normal parts of life. "So they think we are from a world that should have killed us," Nari said. "That explains why they are so confused by our tactics. They have never fought people who grew up expecting danger everywhere." The third attack was the biggest yet. Shung Ho and Ji-Ho worked together to destroy a Korthak dreadnought. They used the planet's gravity to slingshot a makeshift bomb into the enemy ship's engine core. The explosion lit up the night sky. The surviving Korthak ships moved into a defensive formation. They were no longer hunting Volani civilians. They were trying to protect themselves from an enemy they could not see or predict. Admiral Vextar commanded the Korthak fleet. He was a proud warrior who had conquered dozens of worlds. But he had never faced an enemy like this. "What manner of creatures are these humans?" he asked his officers. "They fight without honor. They strike from hiding like cowards. But they are more dangerous than any enemy we have faced." His communications officer was monitoring all frequencies. "Admiral, I am intercepting human transmissions. They are not just soldiers. Some of them are scientists and doctors. They are fighting with whatever tools they have." Vexitar could not understand it. In Korthak society, only professional warriors fought wars. Scientists and doctors stayed safe at home. But these humans turned everything into weapons. Their mining tools became bombs. Their research equipment became spy devices. Their medical supplies became tools for sabotage. "Send a priority message to the Empire," Vextar ordered. "Tell them we have encountered the Deathworlders. Tell them we need reinforcements immediately." Back in the Volani tunnels, Lyra was learning to use human weapons. Her hands shook as Yejin showed her how to aim a rifle. "I have never hurt anything in my life," Lyra said. "My people grow things and heal things. We do not destroy." Yejin put a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You are not destroying. You are protecting. There is a difference." Above them, another Korthak ship exploded in the night sky. The humans had somehow turned the enemy's own weapons against them. The impossible was happening. 12 humans were defeating an entire alien fleet. But in the depths of space, Vextar's message was already traveling toward the Korthak Empire. Soon the galaxy would know about the Deathworlders, and everything would change. News traveled fast across the galaxy. Within days of Vexitar's message, every species in known space was talking about the human incident at Thalos. The Korthak Empire tried to keep it secret, but too many people had heard the story. Dr. Han Wu found himself talking to aliens he had never imagined existed. His communication equipment was flooded with messages from dozens of different species. They all wanted to know about the Deathworlders. The first to make contact were the Ajari. a species that looked like living crystals. They spoke in musical tones that So Young had to translate through the computer. "We have suffered under Korthak. Rule for 50 years, their message said. Our homeworld was invaded when we refused to give them our crystal technology. We thought resistance was impossible, but you have shown us that even the Empire can be defeated." Then came the Namori, water-breathing people from ocean worlds. Their leader, someone called Wave Singer Coral, sent video messages showing Korthak factories polluting their seas. "We tried diplomacy for decades," she said. "The Korthak only understand violence. But we are peaceful people. We do not know how to fight wars." The Thren were even stranger. They were beings made of gas and energy who lived in the atmospheres of giant planets. Their representative, Storm Rider Zeph, appeared as a glowing cloud on the communication screen. "The Korthak drain our worlds of their energy," Zeph's translated voice said. "They care nothing for our people or our ancient ways. We offer you our knowledge of energy manipulation in exchange for your military help." Captain Nari realized what was happening. The human victory at Thalos had done more than save the Vellani. It had given hope to every species that had ever been hurt by the Korthak Empire. "Hanwu, set up a conference call with all of them," she ordered. "If we are going to fight the Empire, we need allies." The first meeting of what would later be called the Liberation Coalition was chaos. Dozens of species all trying to talk at once, each with their own languages and ways of thinking. But they all shared one thing. They wanted the Korthak Empire to stop hurting innocent people. Han Wu, now Earth's first alien diplomat, tried to organize the discussion. "We need to share information," he said. "Tell us about Korthak military. Tactics, their technology, their weaknesses." The stories were all similar. The Korthak would arrive at a peaceful world with overwhelming force. They would demand surrender and submission. Any species that resisted would be crushed by superior numbers and technology. "But their tactics are very predictable," said Elder Kalen, who was now representing the Vellani in the coalition. "They always fight the same way. Big ships, heavy weapons, direct attacks." Ye-Jin had been studying the captured Korthak equipment. "Their soldiers are strong and well-armed, but they do not adapt quickly. When we changed our tactics, it took them days to respond." The alien species were amazed by human military thinking. Dong Hyun showed them how he had turned mining equipment into weapons. Seung Ho explained how he used asteroid fields to hide his ship. Ji-Ho demonstrated how to build bombs from everyday materials. "This is incredible," said Crystal Mind Resonance, the Ajari representative. "You take normal tools and make them into weapons. You see opportunities where we see only problems." But it was Min-Ho, the Tenacity's tactical officer, who made the most important discovery. He had been studying the psychological profiles of different galactic species, trying to understand why humans were so different. "Captain, I think I know why we fight so differently from everyone else," he reported. "It is because of Earth." He showed the coalition a presentation about human evolution. Earth was a world of constant change and danger. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, and climate shifts had happened throughout human history. Humans had evolved to survive in chaos. "Most galactic species come from stable worlds," Min-Ho explained. "Their planets have gentle weather, few natural disasters, and peaceful environments. They evolved to value safety, cooperation, and predictable solutions to problems." He pointed to data about human psychology. But humans evolved on a world where everything could change without warning. We learned to adapt quickly, take risks, and find creative solutions under pressure. What other species see as reckless, we see as normal survival behavior. The alien species were shocked by this revelation. They had always assumed that intelligence could only develop on safe, peaceful worlds. The idea that a dangerous planet could produce a spacefaring civilization was completely new to them. "This explains your military advantages," said Wave Singer Coral. "You are naturally adapted for warfare because warfare is similar to the survival challenges on your home world." The Galactic Assembly, the closest thing to a government that existed in known space, was having emergency meetings about the human problem. Most of their member species were terrified by the idea of Deathworlders. If intelligent life can evolve on dangerous worlds, argued Assembly Speaker Tranquil Thought, then there might be other species like the humans, species that see violence and chaos as normal. But other Assembly members disagreed. "The humans saved the Villani," said Representative. "Gentle Reign of the Keeper Alliance. They are using their abilities to protect innocent people, not to conquer them." While the politicians argued, Captain Nari was building a real military force. The coalition species offered her their best technologies in exchange for human tactical knowledge. The Ajari gave them crystal-based energy weapons that were more powerful than anything humans had ever built. The Nemori shared their advanced life support systems, which could keep people alive in any environment. The Thren provided energy shields and faster-than-light communication devices. Dong-hyun was like a child in a toy store. Every day brought new alien technologies to study and improve. His engineering team, now expanded with alien scientists, was creating hybrid human-alien designs that neither species could have built alone. "The Ajari crystals store energy perfectly," he explained to Nari, "but their weapons overheat quickly. Human cooling systems can solve that problem. The result is a weapon that can fire continuously without stopping." Meanwhile, the Korthak Empire was falling apart. Emperor Maltheon was losing control of his outer colonies as news of the human victories spread. Some Korthak worlds declared independence. Others began secret negotiations with the Liberation Coalition. War Chief Gorvak led the hardline faction that wanted to destroy the humans before they could cause more trouble. "Deathworlders are a threat to the natural order," he declared. "If we do not stop them now, other dangerous species will follow their example." But strategist Kelthera argued for a different approach. "The humans have proven that the Empire is not invincible. Perhaps we should negotiate with them before they become even more powerful." The split in Korthak leadership was exactly what Nari had hoped for. "A divided enemy is a weak enemy," she told her expanded fleet. She now commanded 50 ships from a dozen different species, all united in their determination to end Korthak oppression. But the most important discovery came from So Young's linguistic research. She had been studying galactic history and found something shocking. "Captain, the galaxy operates on a caste system based on homeworld types," she reported. "Garden world species become diplomats and scientists. Standard worlds produce merchants and workers. Harsh worlds create soldiers and laborers." She showed them the official classification charts. But death worlds were not even considered. The galactic community assumed that no intelligent life could survive on such planets. This revelation changed everything. Humans were not just another species joining galactic civilization. They were something completely new, a type of intelligence that the galaxy had never seen before. The Galactic Assembly was forced to create a new category: Deathworlder civilization. They granted humanity emergency authority to intervene in the Korthak crisis, But many assembly members were clearly afraid of what this precedent might mean. As Nari's coalition fleet prepared for their next major operation, she received a priority. Message from Earth Command. Admiral Park, her former commander, appeared on the communication screen. "Nari, what have you done out there?" he asked. "We are getting diplomatic messages from dozens of alien species. Half of them want to become our allies. The other half want to surrender to us before we invade their worlds." Nari smiled. "I saved some innocent people, sir. Everything else just followed naturally." But she knew that Admiral Park was right to be concerned. The galaxy would never be the same. The arrival of the Deathworlders had shattered old assumptions and created new possibilities. The only question was whether the change would lead to a better universe or a more dangerous one. In the depths of space, Korthak Emperor Malthion was making his own plans. If the Empire could not defeat the humans through normal means, then he would have to try something more desperate, something that would either save his civilization or destroy it completely. 6 months after the first battle at Thalos, the human-led coalition had liberated 47 worlds from Korthak rule. But the real change in the galaxy was happening inside people's minds, not just on battlefields. Dr. Haya Jin, now the chief, medical officer for the entire coalition, made a discovery that shocked everyone. She had been studying the biology of different alien species and found something unexpected. "Most galactic species have not evolved in millions of years," she reported to the coalition leadership. Their stable homeworlds produced populations that stopped adapting to new challenges. They became very good at what they already knew, but terrible at learning new things. She showed them brain scans from volunteers of different species. Humans, by contrast, evolved through constant change. Our brains are designed to adapt quickly to new situations. What we call learning is actually our natural survival mechanism. This research had immediate practical benefits. Dong Hyun was working with Ajari engineers to create new ship designs. The aliens had perfect theoretical knowledge, but humans could see practical solutions that the Ajari missed. "They know exactly how energy crystals work," Dong Hyun explained to Captain Nari. "But they never thought to use them as armor instead of weapons. Human intuition plus alien knowledge equals technology that neither of us could create alone." Seung-ho was having similar success training alien pilots. The Namori had excellent reflexes underwater, but they were helpless in the chaos of space. Combat. Human training methods taught them to make quick decisions under pressure. "The key is not thinking too much," Seung-ho told his mixed human-alien squadron. "In combat, you do not have time for careful analysis. You have to trust your instincts and react." The psychological effects were spreading throughout the galaxy. Species that had been passive for centuries were suddenly questioning their old ways of thinking. The Namori started experimenting with individual decision-making instead of group consensus. Even the peaceful Villani began training defense forces. Lieutenant Colonel Ye Jin, promoted to lead all coalition ground forces, was amazed by how quickly her alien students learned human tactics. "They have all the intelligence they need," she told Han Wu. "They just needed someone to show them that change is possible." But the most dramatic transformation was happening to their former enemies. War Chief Gorvak had been captured during the liberation of the fortress world Cathara. Instead of executing him, Nari decided to try something different. "I want to understand how the Korthak think," she told her staff. "Maybe we can end this war without destroying their entire civilization." Gorvak was suspicious at first. In Korthak, culture, captured enemies were either killed or enslaved. The idea of honorable treatment for prisoners was foreign to him. "Why do you not torture me for information?" he asked Hye-jin during his medical examination. "Because torture does not work," she replied simply. "People will say anything to stop pain. If we want real information, we need you to trust us." Over weeks of careful conversation, Han-woo learned about Korthak society. They were not evil by nature. Their harsh homeworld had taught them that only the strong deserved to survive. They believed that conquering weaker species was actually helping them by removing their weakness. "Your people confuse us," Gorvak admitted during one of their talks. "You fight like warriors, but you care for your enemies like healers. You are strong enough to rule the galaxy, but you choose to free slaves instead. This makes no sense to our way of thinking." Han-woo realized that this was the key to ending the war. What if strength could be used to protect the weak instead of destroying them? What if being powerful meant having the responsibility to help others? These conversations were being broadcast to Korthak worlds throughout the Empire. Many Korthak citizens were hearing human ideas for the first time. Some were angry, but others were curious. Commander Kelthara, the Korthak strategist who had argued for negotiations, sent a secret message to the coalition. "Many of our people are tired of endless wars," she said. "They want to try the human way of solving problems." But Emperor Malthion was not interested in new ideas. He saw the spread of human influence as a disease that would destroy everything the Korthak had built. If he could not defeat the humans through normal warfare, he would try something more desperate. "Prepare the Grand Fleet," he ordered his remaining loyal commanders. "We will strike at the heart of this infection. We will destroy the human homeworld and scatter their people across the galaxy." The Grand Fleet was the largest military force in galactic history. 3,000 ships, including the Empire's most powerful dreadnoughts. Malthion planned to jump directly to the Sol system and destroy Earth before the humans could respond. But the Emperor had made a critical mistake. He did not understand that humans were not like other species. Destroying their homeworld would not scatter them or make them surrender. It would make them furious. Admiral Nari, now commanding the coalition's combined fleet, received intelligence about the Korthak plan from Kelthara. The Grand Fleet would arrive at the Centauri Gates, the last choke point before the Sol system, in 3 days. "How many ships do we have?" Nari asked her staff. 800, replied her tactical officer. "Less than a third of their force. Then we will have to be 3 times better than they are," Nari said calmly. She called a meeting of all coalition commanders. The room was filled with representatives from dozens of species, all united in their determination to protect the humans who had given them hope. "The enemy thinks they can end this war by destroying our homeworld," Nari told them. "They do not understand that our real strength comes from our ability to work together. Earth is important to us, but it is not what makes us human." Crystal Mind Resonance of the Azari agreed. "The humans have taught us that home is not just a place. It is the people you choose to protect." Wave Singer Coral of the Nemori added, "If they destroy Earth, they will only prove that violence is not the answer. We will rebuild somewhere else and continue our work." The battle at the Centauri Gates would be remembered as the largest space combat in galactic history. 3,000 Korthak ships against 800 coalition vessels. The odds should have been impossible. But the coalition fleet did not fight like a traditional military force. Human tactical thinking had spread throughout their ranks. Instead of meeting the enemy in one massive battle, They broke into small groups that attacked from multiple directions. Nari's flagship, now called the New Tenacity, led a squadron of human and Volani ships through an asteroid field that the Korthak sensors could not penetrate. They emerged behind the enemy formation and destroyed 6 dreadnoughts before disappearing again. Meanwhile, Sung Ho commanded a mixed squadron of fighters that used hit-and-run tactics learned from the original Ghost Protocol. They would appear, launch their weapons, and vanish before the enemy could respond. The Korthak fleet was designed for traditional warfare between organized battle lines. They could not adapt to an enemy that refused to fight fair. Their formations broke apart as they tried to chase shadows that were always one step ahead. Emperor Malthion, commanding the fleet personally, grew more desperate as the battle continued. "Stand and fight!" he broadcast to the coalition forces. "Stop hiding like cowards!" Nari's response was broadcast to both fleets. "We are not hiding! We are hunting!" The battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the Grand Fleet was completely destroyed. Only a few hundred Korthak ships managed to escape, and many of those surrendered rather than face the journey home in defeat. Emperor Malthion's flagship was captured intact. The once mighty ruler of the empire was brought before the coalition leadership in chains. But instead of executing him, they offered him something he had never expected: mercy. "Your empire is finished," Han Wu told him. "Your people are tired of war, but you can still help them find a better way to live." Malthion was confused and angry. "You should kill me. That is what I would do to you." "That is exactly why your empire failed," Nari replied. "You never learned that true strength comes from helping others, not hurting them." But the most surprising moment came during the final hours of the battle. 3 new ships appeared at the edge of the battlefield. They were unlike anything anyone had seen before, with strange designs and unknown energy signatures. The lead ship sent a communication in perfect human English. "Greetings, fellow Deathworlders. We have been watching your performance with great interest." The speaker appeared on the screen. It looked somewhat like a human, but with rock-like skin and glowing eyes. "I am Commander Vex of the Corallian Republic. We are from a world of eternal volcanic activity. We have been waiting a long time to meet others like us." Behind the Corallian ship, 2 other vessels revealed themselves. One contained energy beings from a world of constant storms. The other held amphibious creatures from a planet of endless hurricanes. "There are 4 Deathworlder species in this galaxy," the Corallian commander continued. "We have all been hiding, thinking we were alone. But your actions have shown us that it is time to reveal ourselves." Nari realized that everything was changing again. Humans were not the only Deathworlders in the galaxy. There were others, each adapted to their own impossible worlds, each with their own unique strengths. The old galaxy, where garden world species. 1 year after the Battle of Centauri Gates, the galaxy looked completely different. The Korthak Empire had split into dozens of smaller governments, most of which had signed peace treaties with the Terran Coalition. War Chief Gorvak, now calling himself Advisor Gorvak, worked with human military trainers to teach former Korthak soldiers how to protect people instead of conquering them. "It is strange," he told Lieutenant Colonel Yejin during one of their planning sessions. "My people spent centuries believing that the strong should rule the weak. But you humans showed us that the truly strong protect the weak. It is a difficult lesson to learn, but a worthwhile one." Ambassador Han Wu had established the Galactic Development Initiative, a program that paired human problem solvers with alien technical experts. Projects that had been considered impossible for centuries were now being completed in months. The water world of Aquatica had been polluted by Korthak mining operations for 50 years. Wave singer Coral of the Nemori had tried everything to clean their oceans, but the damage was too severe. Then human engineer Dong Hyun arrived with a crazy idea. What if we use the pollution itself as fuel for cleaning machines? He suggested. Instead of trying to remove the contamination, we build organisms that eat it and turn it into something useful. Coral's scientific team said it was impossible. But working together, human creativity and Nemori knowledge of ocean life created a solution that neither species could have found alone. Within 6 months, Aquatica's seas were cleaner than they had been in a century. Similar success stories were happening across the galaxy. The crystal caves of Resonance Prime, damaged by war, were being restored using human mining techniques combined with Ajari crystal-growing knowledge. The storm-swept skies of Tempest, once thought uninhabitable, now hosted floating cities designed by human architects and Thren energy manipulators. Dr. So Young, now director of the New Terra Institute, watched thousands of young aliens arrive to study human approaches to problem-solving. The Institute's campus on Luna was a marvel of mixed architecture, with crystal spires from Ajari designers, flowing water gardens created by Nemori artists, and energy sculptures that danced through. The air courtesy of Thren engineers. The most important thing we teach them is not specific techniques, So Young explained to visiting dignitaries. We teach them that change is not something to fear. When your environment is constantly shifting, you learn that adaptation is survival. But the real transformation was happening in the minds of galactic citizens. The old system, where your homeworld type determined your role in society, was breaking down. Garden world species were learning to take risks. Standard world populations were developing new technologies. Even harsh world cultures were finding peaceful ways to use their strength. Captain Tae Min, now commanding the exploration vessel New Horizon, led mixed crews to investigate the Deathworlder zones, regions of space that had been considered too dangerous for civilization. These expeditions were discovering not just new worlds, but entirely new forms of life. We found a species that lives inside stars, he reported during one of his regular communications with Earth. They are beings of pure plasma who have been trying to contact the galaxy for millions of years. But everyone was too scared to get close enough to listen. The other Deathworlder species were revealing their own unique abilities. The Corallian, who came from a world of constant volcanic activity, were masters of extreme engineering and mineral processing. Commander Vex worked with human geologists to develop mining techniques that could extract resources from the most hostile environments. The Nexari were energy beings from a planet constantly bombarded by stellar storms. They could manipulate electromagnetic fields in ways that seemed like magic to other species. Their leader, Flux Rider Zen, partnered with human physicists to create new forms of faster-than-light communication. The Vorthak were amphibious nomads from a world of endless hurricanes. They had developed incredible abilities to navigate in chaotic conditions and could survive in environments that would kill most other species. Their representative, Stormwalker Kai, taught human and alien crews how to operate in the most dangerous regions of space. Together, the 4 Deathworlder species formed the Deathworld Compact, an alliance that fundamentally changed how the galaxy thought about power and civilization. Instead of the old system based on controlling resources and maintaining stable territories, the new order valued adaptability, innovation, and the ability to thrive in challenging environments. Fleet Admiral Na Ri presided over the signing ceremony on the neutral world of Haven. Representatives from hundreds of species came to witness the historic moment. The compact included not just military cooperation, but shared research, cultural exchange, and mutual protection for all member worlds. Today, we are not just creating an alliance, Nari said in her speech. We are announcing that the galaxy has room for all kinds of intelligence, including the kinds that evolve in impossible places. Former Korthak Emperor Malthion, now living quietly on a rehabilitation colony, sent a message to the ceremony. I spent my life believing that only the strongest deserve to survive. The Deathworlders taught me that true strength comes from helping others survive. I hope other leaders will learn this lesson more quickly than I did. But the most touching moment came from Lyra, the young Vellani scientist whose distress call had started everything. She now served as the first alien, member of a human exploration crew, working alongside Captain Sung Ho to map unknown regions of space. When I sent that first message, I was just hoping someone would hear us, she said. I never imagined that cry for help would change the entire galaxy. But that is what happens when you combine desperation with hope. Sometimes, impossible things become possible. The ceremony was interrupted by an urgent communication from the Deep Space Monitoring Station at Sagittarius Point. Dr. Myong-Soo, now Director of Galactic Communications, appeared on the main screen with an expression of excitement and worry. We have received a new signal, he announced. But this one is not from our galaxy. It is coming from Andromeda, 2.5 million light-years away. The message was similar to Lyra's original distress call, but on a much larger scale. An entire galaxy was under attack by something called the Void Swarm, machine intelligences that consumed organic life and turned planets into lifeless factories. They are asking for help from anyone who can fight impossible odds, Myong-Soo continued. The message specifically requests assistance from Deathworlder civilizations, if any exist. The assembled representatives looked at each other with a mixture of excitement and determination. They had spent the past year learning to work together, combining their unique strengths to solve problems that had seemed impossible. Nari stood up slowly. How long would it take to reach Andromeda? With our fastest ships and the new Nexari? Energy drives about 6 months, replied Dong Hyun, who had been working on intergalactic travel designs. Then we better start building a fleet, Nari said. It sounds like another galaxy needs to learn about Deathworlders. As the representatives began planning humanity's greatest adventure yet, Han Wu reflected on how much had changed since that first day at the Kepler research station. A single distress call had not just saved one species, it had transformed an entire galactic civilization and opened the door to adventures beyond imagination. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the most important discoveries come from the most unlikely places. Garden worlds might produce beautiful art and stable societies, but death worlds produce the kind of minds that could face any challenge and find a way to survive. Earth floated peacefully in the Sol system, no longer a remote backwater, but the beating heart of a new kind of galactic community. The planet that had once been considered too harsh for intelligent life had produced the species that would teach the universe how to grow, adapt, and thrive in an uncertain cosmos. And somewhere in the depths of space, new signals were being transmitted across impossible distances, carrying with them the message that no species had to face extinction alone. The Deathworlders were listening, and they were coming to help. The age of stability was over. The age of adaptation had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.